many students move to Manchester to pursue their career of working in the creative sector. So let me take you on a journey and we'll see what lovely people work in the media sector in Manchester. Let's go.
So I'm currently a full-time student at the University of Manchester studying geography, which some people are like, well, why are you doing geography, but also all this film stuff? But they do link quite well together. People like to travel around, make documentaries about things. So geography is a somewhat creative subject. But as I say, most of the stuff I do outside of uni is filmmaking, TV production. So I'm the station manager of Fuse TV, so I help to sort of run the programming and make a lot of cool stuff. I'm also head of the Filmmaking Society, and I run the University of Manchester's TEDx. So lots of enabling of other creative people. But then outside of university, I do also have other creative jobs that I'm not sort of volunteering for. School, well, A-levels I did English, geography and history. So very essay based. I've always liked writing and reading, so less so the science and math side of things. So I've always enjoyed the humanities and the English the most. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I don't see myself in a few years' time after I graduate being in like a flood risk management consultancy firm. As much as that is great, and I'm sure I wouldn't mind it, it's not quite the creative side of things that I need to fulfill my burning need to create. So I think an ideal world, I'd be doing filmmaking but sort of with a geography side of things. Traveling around making documentaries that have sort of an environmental focus would be very cool. Well, it really shows for an employer if you go out of your way to do things that sort of go beyond just the status quo. Get involved with extracurricular stuff. Just don't be afraid to ask to get involved with stuff, because we have loads of members in Fuse TV and various other groups that are just sort of, they sign up and then they assume that they're just going to get spoon-fed like, oh, why don't you do this project? Or like, oh, why don't you get involved with this? But that's not the way the world works. You've got to really be persistent and ask to get involved in stuff, and that's going to be the best way to get that experience.
I am the production apprentice at BBC Radio Lancashire. Day to day very much varies. I get loads of opportunities. So I could be reading the travel on the breakfast show, BAing the breakfast show or afternoons or mid-mornings. BAing is broadcast assistant. It's like an assistant producer. So part of that is getting up the callers, making sure the programme's running smoothly, sort of sending stuff through to the presenter that needs to be sent through, just pretty much making sure that the programme runs smoothly. When I was finishing my A-levels, I was like, I 100% want to do an apprenticeship. I didn't fancy university at all. I couldn't find a degree that was right for me, or really a place in the country, a university that was right for me as well. And I'd always wanted to work for the BBC. That was like a goal, whether it was as a casting director or as an actress or anything like that. Definitely do what makes you happy. Don't do what you think other people want you to do. So there was quite a lot of people that wanted me to go into things that I didn't want to go into, like that. Follow sort of what you sort of set your mind on. Go for it. And if you don't want to go to university, don't go. I feel like so many people don't actually want to go. They just want to go for the partying. And I feel like a lot of people don't realise how much work you actually have to do at university.
First job was in theatre and education, and then I moved into community theatre. Work with theatre companies that specialise in working with children in deprived areas. I started to get telly work. I was in and out of Emmerdale Farm, as it then was, before they dropped the farm. I kind of took a pause from acting and became a failed pop star for about 3 or 4 years. Then I did, after that, a fair amount of repertory theatre. So I was still doing a fair amount of telly when I could get it, and also radio. I started doing more and more kind of freelance directing work, or in colleges or teaching in colleges, and gradually that started to take over. So that started to become the main event. Then I got a job at Salford, and I've never left. Where it really changed was the change from freelance into having a full-time job. I discovered, to my surprise and delight, that the world didn't come to an end. I still managed to do some acting work. No, I don't think I was thinking about that during the 80s. And then I was starting to get involved in it in the in the 90s, but that's also when we had children, but it was still on a freelance basis. So that kind of grew on me. I suppose I didn't imagine it until I was then doing it, and then it was easier to imagine it because I'd seen how other people were managing it and so on. I mean, I can only talk about my own personal experience because I know that I often say to students, don't do what I did, do what I say, not what I did. Network, and don't worry about what people think of you. People will think of you whatever they think of you, you know, just turn up.